Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Yoruus speaking and welcome to the introduction summary video for multiplayer game number 56. This time I'm playing No Quitters Free for All 6-player game. No Quitters is a Steam group that gathers people who just want to play Civ without people quitting on them mid-game. You can find the link to the group profile on my main channel page in the About section. So just check the profile, read the rules, join the chat. Chat is public, and ask one of the moderators for an invite to the group, or try to catch me on Steam. Though be prepared that I may not answer, cause most of the time my sound is turned off, so don't be discouraged by that, but just send me a message. I will definitely answer to all the messages sooner or later. So as I said, this is a free-for-all 6-player No Quitters game. Together in this game we've got Table, Artek2 and Kishumi16, Twinsen and Lord Peter Belash. So pretty strong players as usual. I'm trying to get the best players I can find at the moment I'm playing the game for some interesting action. This time this is a little bit of a twist, because this is large island map. This is not a Pangea. This is a large island map with strategic balance, with a little bit of rules, and we agreed that if somebody got Russia we would re-roll, though nobody got Russia this time, so I rolled India. And well, I don't recall exactly what civs the other players had, but if I remember correctly, Shumi was playing as Poland, Twinsen was playing Portuguese, Lord Peter Belash was playing as Netherlands, Artek2 was playing as China, and Tabo was playing as Rome. So pretty strong civs, pretty strong players, and a map that encourages frigate rush and encourages a lot of diplomacy twists, because it's so much easier to make quick alliances and quick counterattacks and move troops on the oceans than it is on a land-based map that Pangea usually is. So if you do not want to know how the game went, stop watching right now and go to the second position of the playlist where the actual game starts. And if you're interested in a summary of the game, just hang on to this video and listen what I've got to say. So see you in a second. So I landed on a pretty small map, but the great thing, map on a pretty little island with only two luxuries, were basically three luxuries, but the third luxury would be just asking for trouble. And especially that I was India, I was not interested in planning too many cities, especially at the start, because the happiness hit was so huge. I was planning to go 3 cities, and the one good thing is that I had a lot of mountains, so that would allow me to counter the early disadvantage that India has, and hopefully be able to catch up later on. Of course, I would need to survive until frigates, so pretty interesting. Well, I enjoyed this map. This was looking for a very cool game. I took the gems, Pearls Pantheon, so I was really on a good way to get a religion early on, and I really had 3 nice spots for cities with mountains. I was planning to get a 3rd city right south of that barbarian camp in the north, on a hill between all those mountains, so I would not have to worry about protecting that 3rd city and just focus there on some building wonders and maybe science. Maybe not the greatest idea, but as I said, India, this island would allow me to plant around 4 or even 5 great cities, but the problem with India is you just cannot do that that early in the game. So I was planning for 3 cities and maybe add up a 4th city later on, of course with the tradition, this time with a usual tradition opener. So things started to look pretty interesting. I was able to plant a 4th city south of my capital on iron, so I had 12 iron for myself, which is so important on a naval map. I mean, like, who's got the most iron absolutely has an advantage at the point of the game when frigates rule the oceans. If you can get twice as many frigates as your opponent, you're basically on a good way to achieve a victory. Now, interestingly, there was 3 interesting things. First of all, Shumi decided to not go on the coast, and he decided to plant his cities on inland. Inland, I mean, like, yeah, you know, inland of his island, not on the coast. A pretty interesting move, which said to me, Shumi is going crazy out wonder spam, crazy out science with Poland. This is pretty much achievable, so you gotta stop him. You gotta stop him, which is pretty hard because he managed to, of course, get a nice defense. He managed to get Great Wall, a lot of wonders. So basically, early invasion, land invasion, was probably not possible because he would be able to defend that. But he was definitely aiming for a fast science victory. Well, maybe not a fast science victory, but he was definitely aiming for either diplomatic victory or a science victory or an attack with XCOM stealth. All that you can pretty much achieve when you are focused all the way on wonder spamming and science just growing, and you don't care about frigates and building naval units to defend. So basically that was his plan, and of course, as usual, Shumi is a great player. He was doing very well, tremendously well, and plus on top of Poland, he was going patronage in the meantime, getting a lot of city-states allies. So he was doing great job as usual. And my closest neighbor was Tabel, playing as Rome, and we had some sort of an alliance, you could say. Now Twinsen, playing as Portuguese, was doing amazing job with gold. And science as well. So basically he was a huge threat later on, and I was just trying to overcome the happiness and finally grow my cities to some crazy numbers, which India is best in the late game. Now things got a little bit complicated. Until frigates, there was not much happening. Everybody was just echoing up. Of course, Shumi was going crazy ahead with wonders and science. Pretty great job. Now Twinsen had crazy amounts of gold. That unique unit, the replacement of Caravelle, was just amazing. He's got so much gold. It was amazing. He was able to upgrade a lot of ships early on. So everybody considered Twinsen second largest threat, and he was basically attacked from 2 sides. Well, from 3 sides, sadly, because I had an agreement with Rome that I wanted to hold true, that I will help attack Twinsen. What I didn't expect that Rome actually took into the alliance China. So basically, instead of 2 versus 1, Twinsen had to fight a 3v1 attack. But surprisingly, a strange thing happened. Well, Artek was beaten at the capital. He was not able to take Twinsen's capital. I took one of the, I think, the least important cities for Twinsen. Pretty easily, was absolutely undefended, and Rome took 1 coastal city as well. But the 2 largest cities was still in Twinsen's possession, and it seemed like he was able to defend and was ready to defend those 2 cities easily. Now, what was the mistake on my part, I think? Well, first of all, China sadly made peace. We kind of was something strange that happened. well, all of us, I mean, like, I think Arctic, Table, and me, had a hard time deciding who was the real threat later on. And the problem is, we thought for a second that leaving Twinsen alive would basically balance things up. And that was a huge mistake that I made in this game. What I should do at this point, first of all, China shouldn't make peace. Well, he could make peace, of course, but me and Tabel talked to each other since we were kind of in an alliance from the moment we saw like Twinsen and Poland. We were closest neighbor. We didn't find each other early on. So we talked to each other and we kind of agreed that making peace with Twinsen was a good idea. And that was a huge mistake. We should have taken out Twinsen completely out of this map. At least for my sake, well, for Rome's sake as well. So this is a crucial bad decision in this game, not finishing Twinsen at this point of the game, basically. And now let's continue what did happen later on. And this is what you get when you don't kill Twinsen in the mid-game. Well, basically, there was not that much action happening, where I think there was a little bit of fighting between China and Twinsen, and I think for a second between Netherlands, but nobody did lose anything important. And what was happening, Shumi was going crazy ahead in science, but because he had only 2 cities, he was not considered a real threat, and especially that the science level was not that well. The science level was pretty even between players. They basically didn't consider Shumi such a large threat that I did, because they said they would be able to nuke him later on. I was absolutely in another opinion, and well, basically, if Shumi didn't make some mistakes, he would win a diplomatic victory. But he made some mistakes, and he was not able to do it. But they definitely attacked me. Where I was first at points, I was definitely on a very good way to achieve a culture victory. I had a nice science. I was catching up with science to Shumi and actually surpassing him. Was able to take Hubble telescope away from him because he went the upper parts of the tech tree to get globalization, to get some more votes. But anyways, they considered me a threat, and what they decided, well, Netherlands decided to use his huge fleet to attack me, and I was maybe not doing great, but I would be able to defend against Netherlands alone. But Twinsen decided to join in on the action, and that basically that killed me, because I used a lot of hammers to get archaeologists to get to ancient ruins, to get to those antiquity sites early on, which was a mistake. I should have probably moved more armies to have some more defenses, but I was not expecting a 2v1 with such a huge amount of ships. So basically my fleet was wiped out by combined forces of Netherlands and Portuguese, and I basically was losing my capital. There was nothing I could do to save my capital. So the mistake, letting Twinsen alive in the mid game was a huge mistake that backfired on me later in the game, because Twinsen was definitely looking for revenge, and he decided to help Netherlands to kill me, basically. So even though I lost the capital, actually Twinsen took my capital, so I made peace with Netherlands, and I was able to retake my capital from Twinsen. And I still try to build up, I was taking up to internet, and though Twinsen took away a lot of my artifacts, I thought that, well, I still have a little slim chance to actually achieve a cultural victory. And I was going there slowly, though I messed up the great musician timings. Well, I messed up, I messed up great musician's timing. So I was like, basically 10 turns away from Culture Victory, maybe less, maybe more, if I didn't mess up the great musicians or like a great musician away from Netherlands. But well, Netherlands decided to go at me again. And though I did prepare some defenses, I had nothing to do against nukes, and basically my cities got nuked, and I was out of this game. So a pretty nice attempt, I think, on a cultural victory with India. I enjoyed it very, very much. Well, did I mention that Shumi got killed eventually? Shumi got killed eventually, so yeah, he basically like nuked to hell. Though he was fighting quite ferociously, but he couldn't do much. So a pretty cool attempt at cultural victory in my opinion. But then again, like as I said, those maps are so fast with diplomacy changing and moving troops. It's really hard to defend well against fast switching alliances like this. And I made that mistake. Letting Twinsen alive was a huge mistake on my part. I should have taken him out, helped take him out in the mid game, as I said previously. That would maybe change the course of the game a little bit. So GG from me at this point of the game. I talked to Twinsen later on, and what did happen is Arctic 2 and Twinsen was fighting each other, but at the end Netherlands killed them all. And the funny fact is, actually Netherlands wanted to be voted irrelevant for this game. He wanted to leave earlier on because he thought he cannot influence this game, and at the end he wins. As I said more over and over again, especially on naval maps, every single player is important. Every single player is important until the end, because things can change a lot in the course of the game. So anyways, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for the game. GG everyone, and I invite you to watch the actual game that starts on the second position of the playlist. So best wishes, Yoruus out.